Darren, I think at this point everybody's heard of a DDoS attack, but what are the main challenges when it comes to defending from those kinds of things?
I think the main one right now is that there's increased complexity in the attacks. You used to see only sophisticated adversaries launching sophisticated attacks. Now pretty much anyone can do it, and that's changed the defensive balance.
Is that all there is to it, though? I know there's a lot more happening.
I think the second one is probably the number of attacks. I mean, we see about 16 million attacks fed back to us every year from our service provider customers. So that's another one. And then thirdly, I suppose it's the broadening target base that's being hit by the actors out there. It's not just the major organizations anymore. They're going after digital supply chain and things like that.
I know Ericsson might have a slightly different perspective on things. So, I mean, how are you seeing bad actors use AI against networks?
Well, in many ways, of course, speeding up the fingerprinting the systems, finding flaws if any exist, and just, getting in faster, I guess.
Do you see that evolving over the next 12 months, and how are you anticipating defending against those?
Well, absolutely. I think agentic AI, and we see it change every week. So I think I can't even think about next year, because next week's going to be different.
I think it's throwing us all for a loop. So, I mean, Darren, how can we use AI to fight against itself, to defend against DDoS attacks?
I think, again, there's a few different ways. Better threat intelligence is the first one. If you can get the signal from the noise on what's going on out there, a lot of the infrastructure that's used in DDoS attacks is reused in successive attacks. So if you've got global visibility, you can use that locally to better defend and better mitigate. That's kind of one aspect of it. And then you can use AI to obviously automate processes as well to speed things up so that you can deal with things 24/7 as and when you need to.
I want to round things out by asking an interesting question. Is there a security risk that people underestimate? Mikko, you want to start?
Well, I would probably say that it's actually a very dull answer, but it's the hygiene security. When you have complex infrastructure, you have many generations of technology in one stack. Complexity is your enemy, and just getting the hygiene and the basics in place, that's underestimated, I would say.
Is there an easy way to solve that?
Of course, automation, orchestration, applying AI, for example, into the automation of the configuration. That's one very prominent area.
What is your answer?
I think fully understanding your digital supply chain is a really key issue at the moment. Not just who supplies you, but who supplies them, because increasingly we're seeing attackers going after those softer targets that are often smaller organizations that are kind of less well defended further up that supply chain. But the impact then rolls all the way back down.
So once you understand it, what would be the mitigating action that you would take? Would you change suppliers?
No, it's more about them understanding where the risk is and then putting the right services or the right technologies in place, depending upon how large they are, what their internal capabilities are, who their partner relationships are with. It's about understanding where the gaps are and then putting the right stuff in place.
You got to know to protect yourself.
Yeah.
All right, that sounds great. Thank you guys so much for your time.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.